What is up, everyone? Welcome back to our channel. Today we are having our friend John Michael be sharing his story as part of my story series here on our channel. Again, he is not in person as are a couple other people so far, but his message is going to be powerful and it is going to be impactful. So stay tuned, watch, enjoy, comment, subscribe, and share. And we'll see you guys again next week.
Hey guys, I'm John Michael, and today I'm going to be sharing my story. So, I was raised in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in Texas, and raised in a Christian home, and life was great. I love going to church, being a part of all the different activities and summer camps and Sunday school, and going to school with my friends. And then one year, life started to get real for me. I was 13 years old. I started to deal with some anger issues, and my parents came to me and they said, well, guess what? God told us to move to Colorado. I was like, Colorado? That's not God. God would never say to move away from all my friends and family and my whole life. And so I just remember blaming God, being mad at my parents, and wondering why I was forced to move away from everyone that I knew and everyone I cared about. And I moved to Colorado, and I hated God, I hated my family, hated life. I didn't have any friends, didn't know anyone. And while I was in Colorado, my dad said, hey, there's this church that's doing a winter retreat, and I want you to go on it. And I was like, I'm not going on that. I know what that is. That's a lot of chapel services and Bible studies and devotionals. I don't want to do any of that. And, being the young, impressionable person I was persuaded to go. And while I was there, I grew up Christian, so I knew all the songs. And one of the songs at Winter Retreat was, basically you're singing to God, saying, God, I give you my life, do as you will. You're the Lord of my life, I put you on the throne. It was just kind of this song about how God's in control and I'm surrendered to Him. And I was not surrendered to Him. And the pastor gets up after that song and he goes, how many of you meant the words you just said? And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a liar. Like, I was just singing about how I've surrendered my life to God, but I haven't. And, it just really hit me, and I was like, I don't want to be like this. And I was scared and nervous to trust God because I thought, what if He just moves me away from everyone I care about? But I decided that, you know what? I'm gonna really give my life to God. So I was, at the time, 14 years old, and I gave my heart to God. And after that, it was such an amazing roller coaster as a teenager. I'm dealing with all the stuff young teenagers deal with. And at the same time, though, I had God, and I was actually going to God about my anger issues, about how I was disrespecting my parents, about all the things I was struggling with, all the areas that that I needed to grow in. And God actually was refining me on such an expedited level. And something I also did was I would go to my dad about pretty much everything I was struggling with, and he would give me scripture, and he would pray with me and push me back to God. And so I started to grow really close to God and had a relationship with Him. And reading my Bible, I got involved in church, became a student leader in my youth group, and then the next year I went to a missions trip to Guatemala, and there God gave me a heart for the less fortunate in the world that weren't blessed to be born in America, where they have schooling and guaranteed food on the table and all these different things. And I was like, man, God put dreams and hopes and desires in them just like He did in me. And it just struck my heart that there are people that have dreams and hopes and ambitions but don't have the means to be able to do that. And so God put it in my heart to be someone that fulfills other people's dreams, someone that wants to help others accomplish what God's put in their heart. So that was said into me from a young age. I was 15 then, I think, and it was shortly after that that things began to sort of take a turn in a different direction. I had seen a lot of progress and with myself, and I really liked who I was, and I started to get really prideful and started to stop spending time with God and just focus on me and think that I could do everything on my own and that I had it all figured out. And this thing started to unravel. I got my first girlfriend and things didn't go well with her, and she broke my heart, and I was just left wondering why I did everything. I'm like, I don't feel like I have any close friends. I don't, my girlfriend just, broke my heart, and here I am. I'm serving in the church. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, but I'm miserable. And so I decided, you know what? I don't see the point in being a Christian. I did everything right, and now my life is terrible. Because this is what it's like to follow God, I just might as well do my own thing. So I left being a Christian and decided I would live for myself and do whatever I wanted. And it didn't go too well for me. My life got worse. I hated myself even more. I made so many mistakes, did so many dumb things, and my dad and my mom were so gracious. They watched all of this unfold. They just kept praying for me and interceding for me, and they weren't forcing anything on me. And one day my dad came to me and he said, "Hey, I've been praying and I really feel like you're supposed to go on a mission trip to Honduras and I'm going to pay for it." And I was like, okay, well, I still don't want to go. Why would I tell people about a God that I don't even like? And he's like, well, I still want you to go. He sent me all the details, and it turns out we were going to a really nice city and staying in a nice hotel. And I was like, hey, well, at the very least, it'll be a vacation for free. So I decided I would go. And while I was there, every single day that we were there, I would have all these doubts in my mind. And, I'd see people like come up to us and say, I had a dream about you guys, and God said I had to talk to you and figure out who this Jesus person is. I'm like, yeah, that was staged. That's not real. And I remember every day these encounters would happen, and God just kept proving He was real and kept proving it over and over and over. I just kept discounting it every single day. I just was like, no, this is fake. It's all coincidence. This isn't real. And that was the week that I had the biggest breakthrough in my life. Is God just kept showing up for me, and I was like, what is happening? Like, this can't actually be real. And the leader of the group got up for our devotional one morning, and he literally said, like, every doubt that was on my mind, everything I'd been thinking, he said, I'm sure many of you are thinking this or this or this or this. And I was like, I thought all of those things. And then he started combating those thoughts with scripture and with his life experience. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's no way that he just read my mind. And I got really scared and really nervous, and I was like, just everything started flashing before my eyes, all of the mistakes I had made, all of the ways I'd lived for myself and how it hadn't worked out. And I looked at everyone else around me, and I was like, man, they're so much happier than I am, and have so much more joy and purpose for their life. And I said, God, I'm not leaving this room until I get right with you. And I repented of my doubts and of walking away and my pride. And I said, God, I can't go home like this. I need you to touch me, to meet me where I'm at, because I'm scared and I don't know where I'm going with my life. And so I said, God, I'm not leaving. I'm not getting on the plane and going back. This was the last day of the mission trip. I said, I'm not going on that plane until you meet me. And I sat in a field on my hands and knees, and I waited for what felt like hours. I don't know how long it actually was. And all of a sudden, as I was seeking God, He just showed up. And I felt His presence physically. Like, my body was shaking and tingling, and I could feel Him like giving me like a spiritual hug and telling me He loved me, telling me that He had a plan for me, and that nothing I did made Him love me any less. And He told me He was proud of me, and it just broke me, and I started crying and sobbing, And this was confirmed by other people. Apparently, just for like almost 2 hours, I didn't stop crying. Just tears of joy. And after that, my life was never the same. I wanted to pursue God, and I started going hard after God. I joined a Bible study. I got involved in a church. I started pressing in, and God got me an amazing job that paid well and had great hours, and I made a lot of money. And that was my next test, was having wealth. I went out and I bought a sports car, and I bought all these nice things for myself, and I made it all about me. And God has sent me on these mission trips, and He's given me a heart to help other people and to help other people pursue their dreams and everything. And then when He gives me my first taste of money, I spent all of it on myself. And I didn't care about anybody else. It was all about me, what I could get from God, what I could get from my job, what I could get from everybody else. I was just seeking my own personal fulfillment and gain. And by the time I realized what I was doing, I was broken again. I said, God, how did I get to this place? I thought I was doing everything right, and You blessed me, and then this is how I respond. Like, I can't handle money, I can't handle success, I can't handle anything. And I said, God, I don't want You to bless me until I have the character to handle it. I want to grow and pursue You. So I decided I was going to leave all that behind. I moved to Virginia, and I went to Southeastern University, one of their satellite campuses in Williamsburg, Virginia. And I served at a church, volunteered like 20 hours a week, went to college, and I just was like, God, I'm going after You. I'm giving You a year of my life. Just, I want to grow. I want to find out the plan You have for my life, and I want You to lead me for the rest of my life. I don't want to lead my own life anymore. I'm going to give You control. And that year, God did so many amazing things in my heart. He chiseled away so many hard and stagnant and stale areas of my heart. And it was in that place that I started to hear His voice. I had never even thought about CF&I. I didn't even know that, Christ for the Nations was even a place. And out of nowhere, I'm like, God, what do You have for me? What's next in this next season of my life? And not the next day, an old friend that I hadn't talked to in a long time calls me up, and he goes, hey man, I just want to let you know I'm going for Christ for the Nations. I just want you to pray for me. And I was like, okay, sure. It's like the most random call, and God said, that's where you're going. And I was like, what? And I didn't want to believe it. I didn't know what that place was. It was in Texas, and I was in Virginia with my family, and I was like, I don't want to go to Texas. And I just was fighting against it, but I ended up saying yes to God, and I went. And I went to CF&I. God just, the final breakthrough, something I've been asking for years, happened. I had asked God ever since He met me in Honduras that He would restore my heart and my emotions. I had shut down emotionally when I walked away from God and didn't want to feel things. And I was intellectually pursuing God, and I was caring about other people, but I didn't have a deep empathy, a deep compassion like Jesus did for other people. And I said, God, I want that. And while I was at CF&I, God put that in my heart, and He gave me compassion for others, and He gave me the things I was asking Him for His presence, for His compassion, for a passion for seeking Him and for loving other people. And in the midst of all of that, He gave me arguably the biggest blessing of my life, and He introduced me to the love of my life. And we're engaged now, and we're going to get married, and this new season of my life has been so incredible. And it started because when I was in Honduras, I told God, when God came to me and He said that He loved me, He was proud of me, I said, God, I trust You. I know that You always have my best interest at heart. I'm never going to doubt that again. And so whenever anything happened in my life, good or bad, I said, no matter what happens, I'm trusting You. It's not Your fault if bad things happen, and I'm just going to keep moving forward, and I'm going to trust that You have the end in mind, and that You're in control, and that You're the one guiding my life. And so I'm going to pursue You and do whatever You say. And that allowed me to end up where I am today, because no matter what God says, I always say yes. And no matter how hard it feels or how contrary to my own logic it feels, I I'm able to say yes every time because I know 100% that God is there for me and He loves me and He has my best at heart. So I hope that encourages you and that you have a wonderful day.